Hello, hello, and welcome back to The Coco Show, hosted by myself, Colette Creighton, and my co-host, David Schwartz. This is a show where the banter at the top of the episode never ends, and neurodivergent or not, we are here to make you feel less alone about your human experience. We have no expectations, and neither should you.
You are listening to an illuminating episode of
The Coco Show. Today, we have my girl Kassidi here with us via Zoom. And I know, I just said that we were going to only do in-person guests, but this girlie is just too cool and I couldn't resist. And before we jump into our ye fucking haws and hyperfixations, I wanted to introduce her to y'all. Kassidi and I met at our girl, Melissa's bridal shower in Portland. And when I tell you Mel knew what the fuck she was doing sitting us next to each other, I mean it. We hit it off immediately. We bonded over our angel number tattoos. And
you're both 333 in?
Aren't you
337?
Oh, okay.
But you know, the concept is there.
Yeah, the concept is there.
You and Poe too.
Yeah, Poe's a 444.
I know it.
And we also loved normalizing our neurodivergencies and speaking about them loudly. You are a fucking force. She is an employer brand manager for a tech company. She leads an employee research group for mental health and neurodivergent inclusion and equity at her current company, which has about 450 members, and still finds the time for her family, friends, and super cute rescue pup, Atlas. We've stayed in touch since Mel's wedding festivities began about 16 months ago, and her presence on social, her intelligence, emotional and otherwise, not to mention her phenomenal taste in on-the-nose memes, never ceases to amaze me. Without further ado, dear listeners, meet Cass. Welcome to the show, babe.
Thanks so much. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful introduction.
Thank
really
you.
She's good at that.
Somewhere. Thanks so much. You're absolutely right. Spot on. Mel really did her thing with that seating chart.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best ones that I've ever had the pleasure of being part of.
She is a curator of humans and spaces, and goddamn, I love her.
Yeah, she crushed.
She killed. Would you like to kick us off with your you fucking haw?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. My ye fucking haw of the week is, I teased this a little bit to both of you, but I am going to be running this weekend in Hood to Coast, which is the biggest relay race in the world. I am not a runner. I have asthma. I'm terrible at running. I'm honestly like really scared, but I'm ye fucking hawing it because I did it last year and I survived. And
how long is the run?
It varies by person, but my legs are in total, it's going to be like 16 miles. And so you divide it up. So like you'll run 3 separate legs, which will be anywhere from like 3 to 8 miles, depending on what runner you are. And then you basically like there's 2 vans full of people and you just follow each other in the vans taking turns running until you run all the way from Mount Hood to Seaside, Oregon,
cool.
Which is like 200 miles. So
yeah.
Mazel. That's terrifying, and I am very proud of you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
So my ye fucking haw is like really going to be how I feel when it's done, not so much when I'm like in the trenches, because it is great team bonding. There's nothing like being stuck in a van, you know, with a bunch of smelly people.
Sure.
Yeah, just so
lack
fun.
of sleep that ties you together for life. So
It reminds me of my ye fucking haw.
Yeah.
What is it?
Sweaty, tired people all crammed together. Yeah. What's your hyperfixation?
Oh gosh, hyperfixations. At any given time, there's so many. Most recently, it's been trying to learn guitar. When I was younger, I like really wanted to be a rock star when I grew up. And then my parents got me guitar. They put me in guitar lessons, and I hated them. I was like, I want to play the music I want to play. This sucks. So I gave up on it. I sold the guitar. Went a few years without playing, ever touching it again. And just recently, I've like kind of had that like childlike curiosity come back of, you know, maybe I could try this and be good at it. Or I don't know, not even feeling like I need to be good at it, just wanting to like do it because it's fun. And not so much focusing on like, I need to be the best at it. So my hyperfixation has been that I recently bought a guitar. And I have been like trying to just teach myself like the basics of it. So just learning through like YouTube and But this time, like going at my own pace and, learning music that I'm like actually interested in. So yeah. And also
that.
cozy gaming setups has been a big hyperfixation.
Cozy gaming setups?
Yeah, like I know my whole TikTok algorithm has been this lately, just like cozy gamers who have their little switches, they have like little covers for them, a bunch of cute little like plush animals around them, ambient lighting, just a really nice like vibey desk setup, and they'll just make their little matcha drinks and sit at their little cozy gaming setup and play their games. So that's been a hyperfixation. I have a bunch of stuff in my Amazon cart to maybe try and like recreate that for myself, but yeah, I'm trying to save some money.
I love that.
Yeah.
That sounds so fucking cute. All right. Well, my hyperfixation is this book I just started yesterday that I haven't shut the fuck up about.
Say more.
It's about dysfunctional family systems. And it is called Adult Children. And the book was written in like 2013, but it still rings pretty damn true. It makes me feel seen, heard, angry, sad, and hopeful all at once. And it's by Linda and John Friel. And I highly recommend. Shout out to my girl Brenna for the suggestion. And then I have so many you fucking haws. But one, I'm just happy to be so back in the studio with my Guz.
Ye fucking ha.
I love this guy. It's been a chaotic month. The month before was chaotic. The month before that was chaotic.
We haven't recorded in like an actual month or something.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because I had weddings all of last month. So I had to work all those Tuesdays, and Tuesdays are for podcasting. Therein lies the problem. But, everybody's married. You fucking ha.
You fucking ha.
Yeah. You fucking ha. Oh
so
my
many
God. That'll be
people.
Wedding season's done.
Yes.
In Jesus' name we pray. And I'm getting back into my groove, and I'm here for it. I'm caught up on all my laundry. I changed the fucking comforter yesterday. I cleaned all the cat's bowls, changed the litter.
That was me on Saturday.
Yeah, we are just getting shit done. I did my script in an hour yesterday, which normally it takes me 3 because I'm such a fucking little noodle, and I get up and then I start texting somebody, and then I do this and I do that. I locked myself in Dan's room, and I was like, you are not allowed to leave this fucking desk until you finish this. And it was fine.
Good.
And I did it on my phone, which I think is smart of me to do it on my phone and not my computer, because then I can't look at my phone.
Yeah. It keeps your hands busy too.
Sure. Yeah. That wouldn't work for me, but I'm glad it works for you.
No, I would go to TikTok right away.
Exactly. I'd be like, ooh, notification.
No, it works. It works. Okay. And then 2, which I'm sure this is also David's, but I got to watch my mans perform at the fucking Gorge last week.
True. That is also my fucking ha.
Him and 3 of his headliners played at the Silent
Disco.
Five.
5 Orion Entertainment employees were playing this year at 6, I think. Yasu, Alex, Christian, Johnny, Jackson, and David. 6 headliners played at Base Canyon Festival at the Gorge. They
absolutely fucking ate. I danced my little ass off from midnight to 4 a.m. No one else I would do that for.
No one.
It was 104 degrees.
It was really hot.
It was insane.
Even matter, though.
It was a little smoky. Shout out to everyone who actually stayed the remaining 4 days. Y'all are marathoners.
Yeah, dog.
My respect level for you is immense.
Could not be us.
We woke up in the morning. I was like, it's gonna be 104 today.
Get us out of here. Get us out of here now.
Go home. Yeah.
Everybody.
I was so. I'll get to it in a second.
Yeah. But it was also so nice to meet Johnny's girlfriend, Poe. Poe, if you're listening, love you.
Poe's the best.
And I also got to know Jackson a little bit better.
Yeah.
And that was super fun because I had never gotten to really spend any time with him.
Everyone. It was so fun to spend all that time with everyone.
Yeah, it was like
wonderful.
It was like a little slumber party where we really didn't sleep.
Yeah, the sleep deprivation was real in the week leading up to that, and that was the culmination of my lack of sleep. And I'm still, honestly, I think my body's still trying to like get on some sort of cycle.
Yeah.
From that whole experience, but we did it. I think we performed well.
You did incredible, and I will say, I never don't have an extreme sense of pride when I'm watching you play. Don't roll your eye. I'm your number one fucking fan, and you know it.
It's true.
I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with everything he does. I'm obsessed with everything he plays.
You're funny.
He's so amazing.
Thanks.
You like the stage mom on the side?
I am.
really
I
is,
am.
yeah.
I am. And then they get
Except
off stage.
she's right in front. Like,
right in front. Front row, don't go.
just dancing. Yeah.
Which I think is probably a perfect segue into you, David.
Well, sure. My Ye Fucking Hot is also Base Canyon, and I'm also going to say it was that whole week was just crazy. I'm just gonna for the listeners.
Yeah, paint a picture.
Friday, I got on a ferry to San Juan Island. Saturday, I did a wedding on San Juan Island. Sunday morning, we got done from the wedding at 1 a.m. Didn't get back to the hotel till 2 a.m. Christian and I got on a 4 a.m. ferry. So that's 2 hours of sleep. And then
listening to classical music.
Yes, we were a tad delirious. And went straight to a 9 a.m. setup. I don't usually do this, people. The bat mitzvah was added very last minute to my calendar, and I was not entirely prepared for it.
It happens.
Anyway, 9 a.m. setup, got home from that event. This is the same day I take that ferry, and sleep barely, and then wake up the next day to go back to San Juan Island for a wedding on Tuesday. We luckily got done at 10 p.m. and got back to the hotel at like 11. So my 4 a.m. wake up was like, oh, so rested. And then I went from there we came home, took a 1 hour nap, packed the car, went straight to the gorge, and then basically woke up that morning from 4 a.m. and worked, and if you will. I mean, it wasn't work, but like we were dancing till 4 in the morning. We had to support our last DJ who was playing at 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. But yeah,
we weren't gonna not watch Johnny.
Of course not.
That would have been fucked up.
Yeah. Oh God. Of course we were riding. We were riding for the team, and it was so much fun. What a cool, incredible experience. I got to see a little bit. At least the only person who I didn't get to catch enough of was Yasu's, because we had to set up our camp at some point, and that was the only time we could do it. But it was just so cool. I got to experience that with all of them, and we had so much fun. Like, it was the littest silent disco I've ever seen, and I don't know if you saw the pictures of like Sunday silent disco. That was a rave. Like, that was packed. It was insane. Ours was not as heavily attended, but it was still awesome. There were people like far and wide, and like it was just crazy. My personal favorite moment was when I just sneakily knew because it was cool. You could look up, and then it was dark out, and then all the headphones had different colors, so you knew when people were listening to you. And I looked up once, and I swear, just like 80% of the crowd, if not more, was on the red channel, and I was just like. Literally, I was like, I love you guys. And then I think that's when I dropped The Climb by Miley Cyrus. And that place went
and then the crowd
fucking
lost it.
Awesome. It was so great. And like, you didn't get to see this, but actually on the stage that we were on was like overlooking the gorge. Even though it was dark, you could still see like the hills and the Ferris wheel like illuminated and just playing up there and feeling the wind behind you and just all these people in front of you. Wow, it was something else, I gotta say. Definitely some bucket list shit right there. I hope that we get to do that again someday. And yeah, it was so cool. I mean, just our DJs are so good, and like everyone did such a good job. Gotta say, special shout out to our boy Zona though for obliterating those decks. Like, honestly, I've never been so like nervous to follow him. I was like, oh, like it was awesome. And just to see everyone's growth from where they are to being in that moment was something special. So,
and what I would like to remind you all is that David created this beautiful team, and
I did curate it, indeed.
Taught a lot of these dudes a lot of things they know.
They've taught themselves a lot of stuff too. I mean, like,
obviously, but like,
yeah,
it's like what I do with my girls at work. I teach you little things, and then they run with it, and then they fly.
My hyperfixation is completely random now.
Let's go.
H Mart, y'all.
H Mart. Oh,
addicted. What a store. Top to bottom. Like,
incredible.
It's just what can't you get there? That's how I feel. I've been watching a lot. We're talking about this off the air, but a lot of food TikTok in my life right now. And All these Asian recipes I'm finding have really just made me be like, oh, okay, H Mart is the move. And once you get all these base ingredients, y'all, you can make like everything you've ever wanted. It's great. It's great.
That's true.
Are you a foodie? Like, do you like to cook?
I would consider myself a foodie for sure. Yes.
Yeah. He bought a what is it called? The steel thing in the yard? Their cooktop thing?
Oh, my Blackstone.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Wow.
guy's great.
Oh, I've seen those on TikTok.
That thing's
There's
fun.
like full accounts dedicated to those.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I follow one of them.
Dave fucks it up on that thing.
Yeah. No, it's fun. I love my Blackstone.
All right, y'all. We'll cut. Hold on.
It's fine. Just talk, Coco.
Oh.
God. Fucking A, man.
See, well then I
Don't pause for the music. Just you gotta fill the gap.
I gotta fill the air.
Gotta fill the gap so I can give you a nice little like bump like
a nice
this.
little bump, and then we go. All right, y'all. You know the drill. In order to move energy, you gotta move your body. We'll see you in a sec. All right, y'all. We are back. Cassidy, can you share some background info on your mental health journey with our dear listeners?
Oh my gosh, happy to. And fair warning for all the listeners, I like to take a lot of side quests in my stories. So
Gorgeous.
if that happens, just strap on in. Don't worry, we'll end up right where we were supposed to be all along. But my journey with mental health has been definitely a long one. So growing up, I was like very much a very, very sensitive kid. I was one of 4 siblings, and so grew up in like a bigger family. Family was always around, very present throughout my life, but I just was very different from my siblings for, a bunch of different reasons, but my sensitivity was definitely like one of the biggest ones that I feel like my parents were like not really sure how to handle, not necessarily used to. So I just growing up like remember not being able to convey or express like my needs very well. And so when that would happen, I would just, shift into states of like shut down and just get really upset kind of thing. And so I always struggled with that growing up, and I got teased for that a lot. By my family. Like I remember my older siblings would always say stuff like, oh, you need to be in like theater and drama. Like you're so dramatic. You're so sensitive, so emotional. And I just always hated that. I always thought it was a bad thing. Like it became something about myself I just really, really did not like. And then, I struggled with that a lot when I was younger. And I also, as I, started going through school and entering school, like found myself just having a really hard time in classes that like I did not give a shit about, to be honest, which sounds like a classic like ADHD thing looking back. But at that time, I didn't really like realize it or understand it because I was present for those classes, but my mind wasn't present. Like my body was there and I looked like I was paying attention, but I wasn't, I wasn't actively listening, retaining.
Yeah, you were dissociating.
Exactly. Like in my mind.
We know her.
Yeah, we know her. She was on a bunch of different side quests in her brain. Like I was thinking like, okay, what am I don't know. Like I have this activity coming up this weekend. Like what am I going to wear for it? Like my mind is like in a million other more interesting places.
Absolutely. Yes.
Look at me, like she looks like she's tuning in. And so I had a hard time like in, like math and science classes like that for me were very, very hard because I just was not interested in them, to be honest. Versus like some of the more kind of creative things like, English and art and things like that. Like I was all about that life. Like as I, got into high school, marketing and things like that, like those really piqued my interest. And in those kinds of spaces, I like excelled. I would get it in the classes that I really, really loved. I would get like over 100% versus, I don't know, like statistics. I would have to fight for my life to get like a passing grade.
Mm-hmm.
I felt that.
Yeah. And for a long time, I just, I don't know. I was like, am I just an idiot? Like, I don't know. I don't understand what's going on here. My sister too, she is very similar to me, but different. In that I feel like her brain is like strong in the areas that mine isn't as strong in. Like she's very, she always thrived academically. Like she was always like the best athlete, the best in class. And so I always would compare myself to how she was doing. And so just made it really hard growing up, like struggling with those different things. But you know, I just thought that those were kind of normal parts of like being a student and, you know, being somebody that's related to a really successful sibling. So I kind of just like dismissed all of those different things as being normal. And I think, you know, would beat myself up over them and just have like a lot of negative self-talk. So, yeah, I kind of just treated it as status quo. And it wasn't until far later in life, I would say like, you know, graduating college almost, that I started to like gain some self-awareness and compassion for my younger self, and just understanding of like why I am the way that I am, and grace around why, you know, how my brain works and being okay with that. So that's kind of how like I think things really started off. And then oh, go ahead, sorry.
Did that lead to a lot of feelings of like othered as a kiddo?
Yeah, definitely lots of feelings of like you'd say like othering, because I didn't see or feel my peers really struggling with those things, and if they were, like they were doing a really good job of hiding it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I also learned to like mask really well when I was younger too, just by kind of like seeing what my peers would do and say and how they'd engage in classes and activities and things like that, and would just try and kind of like rinse and repeat that a little bit for myself and go through the motions. And so I think that also too helped me like, I don't know, not work through, but it masked the problem, or not the problem, but it masked what was really going on.
Sure.
Right. Yeah.
And yeah, it wasn't until I had like some family trauma later in life where I started to struggle with depression and anxiety that I like really had kind of a realization that, you know, there might be something like more to this going on here. So it's been a really long journey, but that's more or less like the very kind of start of it. And I think when I first really realized like, you know, things were a little different for me.
For sure. Do you feel like you found your people now?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely feel very, very grateful for that. And I feel like honestly, it came through a lot of really hard work on myself. I think growing up, like I struggled really intensely with my own self-esteem, my own identity. I didn't really know well how to like advocate for myself and journey with my mental health. And, you know, went through the process of like getting a diagnosis and starting to like take steps towards really like making a positive change in my life. I feel like through that journey, I've really attracted the people that are, you know, really strong support systems for me through that. And so, yeah, I feel really grateful, like of all the things that have happened to me in my life, like friendships and family hasn't been an area where I've had, you know, I guess like emptiness. I've always had somebody there to support me in that way. So
that's phenomenal.
And this ties into your work as well, right? What was your title again? And can you explain a little bit about what it is you do?
Yeah, so I am an employer brand manager. When I tell my dad that, he still to this day is like, oh, so you're a recruiter? It sounds very ambiguous, but basically what I do is instead of working on like the brand marketing team for a company and like marketing their products and services, I help organizations market themselves as like a great place to work to potential job seekers. So it's basically like all of the concepts of marketing, but instead of, doing it for like trying to sell your products and services, it's like for recruitment's sake. And the key to doing that is really like making sure that you're doing it in a way that's authentic to the culture of that company. Because like, especially in today's digital age, we're all smart. Like, as people have grown up around technology their whole lives, and you can really easily tell when like a company is putting something out that just does not feel authentic.
Mm-hmm.
And employees feel that too, like if a company is going and saying we're this, we're that, but that's not like the experience, then, you can only keep that under wraps for so long. So it needs to be authentic to,
always comes out.
Yeah.
It always comes
It
out.
always comes out.
Someone will always blow the whistle.
Exactly. And so, yeah, like a lot of what I do really is based around storytelling, and helping give a voice to employees, because the way that we try and like convey what it's like to work at our companies is by, centering the stories of the people that work at them and helping them understand what it's actually like to be there, and, being able to like see themselves represented in the company. Like, oh, there are other people at the company that do this and maybe struggle with that, that I can relate to, and I can maybe see myself here. So I really love it in that sense. Like, it definitely marries my creative mindset, my strategic mindset, and more or less my job is just like providing a platform for people to really be able to share their stories, which is
Cool.
one of the most awesome things. So I feel very lucky.
Very cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
Circling back to diagnoses, how can you share with us like how getting that diagnosis later in life made you feel?
Yeah, I always describe to people, I feel like getting a diagnosis for mental health of any kind is really like, it's like processing the stages of grief almost, where, you have feelings of like anger, disappointment, like you feel a little sad, but, then at the same time, you also feel relieved, you feel hopeful. So having that happen later in life, like I definitely felt a lot of those different feelings. And just to like zoom out and give some context, basically the short version is that I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety and panic disorder when I was in like my freshman year of college, and went all through college through most of college thinking that that's what I had. It wasn't until later in life, like 5 years later or so, that I got my formal ADHD diagnosis. By that point, I was 25 years old. I had been working in the corporate world for almost 4 years.
So wild.
And so it was shocking. And actually just, I don't know, maybe if I zoom out and like talk about that whole story from the beginning, it can provide more context. But basically what happened, and really like my whole story, I guess, with my ADHD diagnosis as an adult, I again had always really chalked up my things that I was struggling with as being the result of my depression and anxiety. But it wasn't until I was in college and met somebody for the first time that had ADHD, that it really opened my eyes to what ADHD maybe was and what it wasn't. I feel like I had such a stigma in my mind because growing up, my family, like, we did not talk about mental health. We did not talk about diagnoses. Like, even, my mom passed away when I was 11 and none of us went to therapy. Like, just, that wasn't something that was a conversation in our household. I love my family. We're incredibly like close, but feelings and, naming your personal like needs and feelings and thoughts, that we just don't have that level of intimacy in our family culture. And so that was something that I just was really struggling with. Gosh, I'm taking a side quest here again.
No,
I feel like if you can't take a side quest during your ADHD journey, then what
I
journey
know.
can
Do
you
you really
take
have
a
it?
side
Yeah.
quest on? I feel that though. I mean, I also got my diagnosis when I was in college, and I think I don't know about you, but like one of the biggest things for me was just like how many other distractions all of a sudden existed that just weren't there before all at once, and the inability to even, because think about it this way, what was my schedule, right? I would have school and then sports and I would go home. Well, home was like very well set up to cope with my ADHD, if you will. Like my room was pretty boring. I didn't have a TV in there, like it was quiet, or I could play music or whatever. So it was like I was able to really focus in that space. And that's where I did my homework. I didn't do my homework at school. I didn't do most of my work at school because I was constantly distracted. I was constantly talking to people. And so at home, I would just lock myself in my room. I hated being downstairs. I hated getting help. Like, ugh. It's like, just let me do this on my own. And then when I got to college and I lived in a fraternity, I never had my social situation and my living situation and my study situation like all in the same space all at once. For me, it made it very hard to prioritize and like manage my schedule and like say no to things.
I've learned too, like what you're saying totally reminded me, like change is really, really difficult it sounds like that was your experience, and that definitely is mine. Like having ADHD is that change is like when your routine gets changed and flipped upside down, like I just shut down. I panic. And so that was kind of what happened. I think when I did like go into college and was really, really struggling, like my depression and anxiety, I think really came to a head my first semester, freshman year of college, because like I was away from home for the first time. I didn't have like my really good friends follow me to college. I was in an unhealthy relationship. My whole day routine, like suddenly I was responsible for, getting myself out of like doing all the things to keep myself afloat and passing school and staying in shape and blah, blah, blah. And so I just was really, really struggling and didn't have a good support system. And it wasn't until like I was saying, when I met somebody that had ADHD that I kind of had like an aha moment. Because what happened basically, I joined a sorority my second semester. And so my situation changed a bit. Like I started to find friends and, get more of a support system at school. And so I thought I was doing better. I thought I was like cured and whatever. But there were just still a lot of areas where I was really still struggling, like, regulating emotions, attendance at school, struggling in those classes I'm not passionate about.
Sure.
And yeah, it wasn't until I met somebody, my good friend, who was very similar to me and was very vulnerable, that she struggled with a lot of the same things. And I remember just being so surprised because she struggled with those things, but presented as such a high achiever. Like, in my perception of her was like, she's on top of her game. Like, she thrives in school. She's involved in the sorority. Like, she has a great family life, very social, lots of friends. And so to hear her struggling with those things, and then to hear her share that she had ADHD, I just was mind blown, because I feel like I held this bias that ADHD was, like a little squirrely kid sitting in class that can't pay attention and blah, blah, blah. Like I just had no idea what it actually meant and, the ways that it can present. So just remember being totally mind blown by that.
It's a great point.
Yeah, it is a great point. And speaking about managing time and structure, you work from home full time, right?
I do.
How do you put in place a little, I guess, algorithm for yourself, structure for your day, so you can get shit done?
Oh my gosh, it's been such a learning process, because I used to work in office for like 50 hours a week, Monday through Friday, like all in the office at my last company. And so the pandemic obviously changed all of that. And then when I changed companies, I got to shift to fully remote, which I'm super grateful for. But it's been a huge process trying to figure out the best way that I work. I think what has helped me the most is just like paying attention to, not forcing myself into solutions that don't work for my brain.
I love that.
So I know, like, the classic advice is, when you're taking your work day, like, make sure that you give yourself like 15 minutes to get up and stretch and take a break and whatever. I cannot do that. I wish I could, but for me personally, I like to honestly just binge my workday. Like I like to work very structured hours. I start at this time, I end at this time. I plow all the way through the day, and when I'm done, I'm done. For me, when I like get up and step away from my workstation and like change the mental tab, it is so hard for me to get back on track. So, um yeah, having just like very structured hours and being okay with that, even though, maybe that's not like the healthiest thing physically, mentally, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's what works for me. It's what works for my brain. And so just not forcing myself, I think, into, I don't know, I feel like advice that is designed for and by neurotypical people.
Totally true.
Mm-hmm.
I find for me, if I take more than like a 10 to, oh my God.
Oh my gosh, I think that was me.
Sorry,
I'm gonna turn
everyone.
that off.
That was I don't think it was me actually. Do you have an Apple on your end? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
could've been
that
her.
was me. It
Whoops.
should be
Could have been
muted
all four
now.
of
I'm
us. Just
so
kidding. Actually, it couldn't
sorry.
be Coco. She's not connected to nothing. I'm gonna get some water and take a little bathroom break.
Great.
Yeah, be right back.
All right. Can you fill mine up too?
Yeah.
Thank you, babe.
Ugh.
So how, oh God, what was it? No, what I was saying was if I take more than like 12 minutes really for like lunchtime sitting, eating, I am like you said, that made so much sense to me when you said when you switch that mental tab. You want me to go back to work?
Yeah, no,
Absolutely. No, I just sat down and ate and was rotting on my phone.
truly. Yeah.
I
I'm
I have no interest in going back to work now. Sometimes I don't even let myself sit down. Standing is so much better. If I stand and I eat, it's like, okay, I'm still in the zone. I can get back to my bullshit, go
Mhm.
back to the salon, and I'm good. People are like, you're so crazy. I never leave the store for lunch ever because something shifts in my brain when I walk out.
It's overstimulating.
Yeah.
It's a complete like change in process, change in path.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm very like I'm very like a very monotask person, I've learned, or at least I need to be and structure my life that way if I want to do anything well. And like it works both ways because I have in the past been the person that, like compromises my boundaries on that, and then I end up working a 12-hour day. And then I just feel like shit. I have like a work hangover the next day. I'm not like bringing my best self. Like I'm burnt out. And so, obviously like it works in keeping you focused on like what you need to get done, but at the same time it keeps you from like burning yourself out in other areas and having to like compromise out. So, yeah, that's definitely what's worked for me. And also like just, well, in the corporate world, task blocking has been really helpful.
I have no idea what that means. Tell me what that means.
We rely heavily on our like little work calendars, but what I'll do is I work in kind of like an individual contributor role, and so anytime that I have with head down project time to actually like get shit done is gold. And so what I'll do is I'll make like blocks on my calendar for that head down focus time. So that way, people can't throw like a meeting invite on my calendar to talk about something ambiguous.
That could have been an email.
Things like that definitely help too. But yeah, it's just been, I think, like a trial and error journey because I have tried a lot of things that haven't worked. And I finally just now I'm at, I think, a good place in terms of like my work routine, my project tracking, and how I keep myself like structured and on target for my work day. Personally, I have room to improve in that though. I feel like I have my work life together really well, but the personal life is like, I am always someone that my toxic trait is that I deprioritize that. I really value like stability in terms of, financial stability, and am willing to, unfortunately, prioritize that a lot of times over like personal well-being, personal life, wellness, all of that kind of thing. So
are you an Enneagram 6?
No, I am I've changed a lot. I used to be a 3, and then I was an 8, and now I think I'm like a 4.
Okay.
What's a 6?
You value safety more than being right.
Interesting. I mean, that sounds like me. I definitely value safety far more than being right in any given situation, to be honest. Stability is just like
Yeah,
my number one value.
stability is also my number one, always and forever. How has becoming an advocate in the workplace helped you with your own mental health journey?
It's honestly been one of the most healing things I think I could have ever done, because I feel like I'm helping save people some of the heartache that I had to go through in my personal journey. It was honestly really jarring, like the process of trying to get a diagnosis as an adult. I remember like telling my psychiatrist and my primary care physician that I wanted to be evaluated and formally evaluated for ADHD, and was just met with like total dismissal. And got a lot of like, well, you're doing really well in work, like I just think that these are symptoms of your anxiety, whatever. So just like very dismissive. And I had to push back and advocate for myself and be like, you know what? No, like I am really struggling, and I really do want to go through this process. Like I insist. Thankfully, thank you. Thankfully, I think the only reason I was prepared to do that though was because like so much advocacy within the community. Like I think especially during the pandemic was the first time that I really like felt and saw and heard a lot of people coming forth and sharing their experiences getting an ADHD diagnosis, particularly women who are, really commonly misdiagnosed or just never diagnosed at all. So because of people sharing their experiences, like I knew, this might be something that I encounter. And I don't know, you never think things like that will happen to you. And so I was honestly really shocked when it did happen and they were trying to say like, we're not going to do this evaluation. You don't need this. But again, like thankfully I was prepared because other people before me shared their experiences. So it's been really healing for me to get to do that and like have a platform for that for my company. Because there's so many nuances in navigating the mental health system, like especially in America, that it's nice to have somebody on your journey that has been through it before and can, help share some of those like tidbits so that you can be prepared to advocate for yourself when you need to. And it's unfortunate that really is so heavily on us as individuals, but it's so important.
Yeah. I'm curious to like what you do. Is it like a channel that you run that people can respond to, and there's like feeds that people chat to each other? Question. Or do you have meetings?
Let me like zoom all the way out here. So the group that I run, it's an employee resource group.
Okay.
And so not all companies have them, but a lot of like large ones do. And they're basically like affinity groups for employees who share characteristics that are, historically underrepresented or discriminated against in the workplace. It's kind of like a safe place for those people to come together and find a sense of community and belonging and connection. And so they're usually employee-led, employee-ran. My company right now, we have like 9 different ones we have like a LGBTQ plus one, we have like a Black network, we have an Indigenous network. So they're just really like safe places for people within a workspace to come and, have a community for those maybe who don't identify with that community to like learn and listen and, discover how they can be allies to those in the workplace that do. And yeah, as part of those groups, we do everything from planning programming. So we'll organize to have like external speakers come in and talk to everybody in the company about topics relevant to our members. We'll do listening sessions. We'll do like coffee chats. We have an internal like messaging channel where people will just post, whatever they're struggling with that day, or, they'll ask like, oh, anyone have any fidget toys that they're loving? Or just, some of those more like casual conversations. But yeah, at its core, it's really meant to be like a support group within an organization. So that way, you have people within the company that you can feel safe and seen and heard by.
Awesome. So
Love that.
so it sounds like the answer was D, all of the above. Yeah, I love that.
That is the short answer, yes.
Kind of switching gears a little bit. How do you protect your peace when you do spend so much of your time on social for both work and personally?
That's a good question.
That is such a good question. I personally, and I've had to learn and grow a lot with this over the years. I struggled really badly with this in 2020 during the pandemic, which I'm sure a lot of us did. Like, we're all locked down. Our phones are really like the only thing entertaining us. And I just got in a groove of like finding myself in a black hole of just bad news. Like I can get really hyper fixated and like almost obsessive with certain things. And so I got myself into that position with just everything that was going on in the world at that point in time. So was really struggling with a lot of like health anxiety. I was really having a lot of like climate anxiety. I was really anxious about like all of the things happening with the government. Like it was just all so much. And finally I work in social media, so I have to be on there and like understand what's going on, keep my finger on the pulse of digital marketing and whatever. But it was coming at such a great cost. I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't taking care of myself. And I just really had this kind of like reckoning with it where I forget what it was, but I think I saw like, it was probably a TikTok. And it was like, it's okay to not like, I don't know, you need to set boundaries for yourself with your digital behaviors online. Like, and there's not really anything that teaches you how to do that necessarily. But thankfully, like, because I work in social media, I know how, at least to some degree, these algorithms work. And I know that if I engage with a certain type of content, I am going to see more of that content.
True.
Which is so rude.
Police yourself. Yeah.
But with that, like what I've really tried to do is identify, what are the things that when I engage with them, like they don't make me feel good, they make me feel worse. And at what point am I informed enough versus like when is information that I'm getting like not
there's
helpful
diminishing returns. Yeah.
Correct.
Correct.
And because I don't know, you get into this like weird rabbit hole where you start torturing yourself with it almost. It's like it hurts so bad, but you can't look away.
Oh my God. I feel that to my core.
Yeah. And so I try really hard now to like interact with things that make me feel good and that entertain me and educate me and add value to my life because otherwise, it's just going to feed me that dark
negative
shit.
feedback loop. Yeah.
Yep. The echo chamber is what I like to call it.
True.
Yeah, it's a cool thing.
Well, about that echo chamber, how do you also self-soothe in moments of like rejection sensitivity, either at work or in your personal life?
Oh my gosh. I feel like I tend to internalize my thoughts and feelings a lot. So, and before I don't know, I think I would just go into my notes app and like journal and kind of write down how I was thinking and feeling. And
great.
That's been really great for self-soothing. I think what I'm trying to do more of now though is like taking that a step further and like starting to really like name and identify and communicate what I need from it next. So, instead of just writing down like I'm feeling this in this moment, like I've been really trying to take it a step further by, doing like working with like Ben, for example, my partner, and being like, okay, like here's what I'm struggling with, here's what I'm feeling, but here's what I need. Like here's, how I need to meet this need to move forward here. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I think in a work setting, it's, finding people that I feel safe, like being very vulnerable and honest with. And especially working remote, like that's honestly taken a lot of time and like effort to find those people. I have a tendency to be like honestly overly trusting, and so it's also been, you know, a big thing that I'm working on to you know, be not just let anyone and everyone in right away, and, you know, give people full access to all of my thoughts and feelings at any given time. So
That's a hard one for me too.
it is. Yeah. I'm a pathological people pleaser, as Mother Swift would say. So.
Yeah. I love to overshare. Let's ask 2 more questions. What part of your neurodivergent blanket feels the most like a superpower?
Oh my gosh, definitely my creativity and like my solutioning, I would say. I have a really hard time, I think, thinking through the how of something can get done. But when it comes to that, like overarching strategy and like creative approach, that is always just where I shine. I feel like I don't know, I've always been somebody that when people come with like problems and challenges, like I'm very quickly able to address like multiple solutions and options to try and hopefully work through them, which is something I love about myself. And I feel like that makes me really good at my job too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I, you know, working in like digital marketing, creativity obviously is like, it's, you know, super important to the job. I've like always been, I attribute my ADHD to my genuine, like never ending curiosity towards things that I'm like interested in. And so that's also been what has, basically enabled me to teach myself a lot of skills that I use today that have gotten me hired into the jobs that I do. So like, as an example, I guess I taught myself how to, like learn video editing. I taught myself videography, photography, graphic design. Like I majored in marketing. And so as part of my, you know, school thing, like those weren't courses that were taught as part of that curriculum. So, but because I was, thank you. Yeah. That hyperfixation and the passion,
Get your
just
farm.
of, you know, yeah, never wanting to stop learning is what feels really comfortable for me.
Love that. Last question. What would you say to your younger self, any age that seems the most appropriate?
Oh, wow, this is a good one. I would just say that you are not broken. The system is broken. The system wasn't designed with you in mind, not the other way around. And that your thoughts, your feelings, your voice matters. To never water those down, to never water yourself down. The right people in your life are going to, you know, come to you if you're being your authentic self. And there is space for you to thrive.
That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. That's it for this week. Next time you see us, we may have a guest. It may just be your fairy pod mothers. We are living fast and loose this summer, and we appreciate y'all being along for the ride. If you do have any topic suggestions, please email them to thecocosshowpod@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out thecocoshow.com for all episodes and to shop our new merch. We will see you next Tuesday.
Bye.